December 4th, 1872. A ship was spotted drifting in the Atlantic Ocean, east of the Azores. When the crew of another vessel boarded her, they found something impossible. The ship was in perfect condition. The cargo was untouched. Supplies were fully stocked. Personal belongings were still in the cabins. But every single person on board, 10 souls, had vanished. No signs of violence, no evidence of a storm. The lifeboat was still in place. It was as if the crew had simply ceased to exist. The Mary Celeste was a 282-ton brigantine, a two-masted sailing ship built in 1861 in Spencer's Island, Nova Scotia. By 1872, she had already earned a reputation. Not as a cursed ship, not yet, but as a sturdy, reliable vessel that had changed hands several times. Her captain for the fateful voyage was 37-year-old Benjamin Briggs, a respected, experienced sailor, a man known for his calm judgment and deep religious faith. Briggs was not the kind of captain who took unnecessary risks. For this voyage, Briggs brought something unusual aboard: his wife Sarah and their 2-year-old daughter Sophia. It was supposed to be a routine commercial run, New York City to Genoa, Italy, a cargo of industrial alcohol worth a small fortune. On November 7th, 1872, the Mary Celeste set sail from Pier 50 on the East River. Aboard were Captain Briggs, his wife Sarah, their daughter Sophia, and a crew of 8 experienced sailors. 10 souls, a seaworthy ship, a straightforward route across the Atlantic. They were expected to arrive in Genoa by late December. They would never be seen again. On December 4th, nearly a month after the Mary Celeste departed New York, another ship spotted her. The Dei Gratia, also heading to Europe, was about 600 miles east of the Azores when her lookout saw a vessel drifting erratically. The Dei Gratia was under the command of Captain David Morehouse, a man who knew Benjamin Briggs personally. In fact, the two captains had dined together just days before the Mary Celeste set sail. Morehouse immediately recognized the ship. Something was clearly wrong. He sent his first mate, Oliver DeVoe, and 2 crewmen to board the Mary Celeste. What they found would become one of the most debated discoveries in maritime history. The ship was completely abandoned, not a single soul on board. But here's what made no sense. The ship was in near-perfect sailing condition. The sails were partially set, not torn or damaged. The rigging was intact. The hull was sound. The cargo, 1,701 barrels of industrial alcohol, was still strapped in place. Only 9 barrels were empty, and those had been opened from the top, consistent with normal seepage. The ship's clock had stopped at 5:45 a.m. The compass was destroyed, its glass broken, the needle spinning uselessly. The last entry in the ship's log was dated November 25th, 9 days before the ship was found. It placed the Mary Celeste about 400 miles west of where she was discovered. The ship had been sailing itself for over a week, and it was heading in the right direction. The crew's personal belongings were still in their quarters: clothing, pipes, a sewing kit, a child's toys scattered on the cabin floor. Sarah Briggs's piano stood untouched in the captain's cabin, but the people were gone. One thing was missing: the ship's yawl, a small boat used as a lifeboat. It appeared to have been lowered deliberately, not torn away by force. The halyard, the rope used to raise and lower the boat, was still tied to the ship, suggesting the lifeboat had been attached and then cut loose. 10 people had climbed into a small boat in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean and were never seen again. For over 150 years, the world has tried to explain what happened to the crew of the Mary Celeste. Theory 1. Mutiny. Some suggested the crew mutinied against Captain Briggs, forced him and his family into the lifeboat, and sailed away on the Mary Celeste. But this theory falls apart quickly. The crew were experienced sailors. Why would they abandon a perfectly good ship to risk their lives in a tiny open boat in the middle of the Atlantic? And why would they leave behind their personal belongings? Their money? Their possessions? Theory 2. Piracy. Perhaps pirates boarded the ship, killed or captured the crew, and then abandoned the Mary Celeste when they realized the cargo was industrial alcohol. Not the rum or wine they'd hoped for. But there were no signs of a struggle, no blood, no damage, and pirates don't typically leave valuable cargo behind. Theory 3. The alcohol explosion. This is perhaps the most widely accepted theory among maritime experts. Industrial alcohol can produce invisible, highly flammable vapor, especially if the barrels leak. Some of the barrels on the Mary Celeste had indeed seeped. The theory goes like this. Captain Briggs smelled or heard something that made him believe the cargo was about to explode. A sudden rush of fumes from the hold, a muffled thud. In a moment of panic, he ordered everyone into the lifeboat. They attached a tow line to the Mary Celeste, planning to trail behind at a safe distance until the danger passed. But then something went wrong. The rope snapped, or a wave pulled the lifeboat away, or the ship, still under sail, moved faster than the tiny boat could follow. And 10 people were left adrift in the open ocean, watching their ship sail away without them. It would explain everything: the intact cargo, the missing lifeboat, the broken compass dropped in the rush, the untouched personal belongings they planned to return for. It's a terrifying scenario, and it may be the truth, but it's still just a theory, because no one who was there ever came back to tell the story. The salvage court in Gibraltar investigated the case for months. Captain Morehouse and his crew were suspected of foul play, but no evidence was ever found against them. The Mary Celeste herself would sail for another 12 years under various owners before being deliberately wrecked off the coast of Haiti in 1885 as part of an insurance fraud scheme. But the ship's final resting place is almost beside the point, because the Mary Celeste has transcended its physical existence. She has become the archetype, the ghost ship, the vessel that sailed itself across the ocean. Arthur Conan Doyle, the creator of Sherlock Holmes, wrote a fictionalized account of the Mary Celeste in 1884, adding details that were never part of the real story. A blood-stained sword, a phantom ship. His version became so popular that people confused it with fact. And that's been the fate of the Mary Celeste ever since. Fact and fiction, tangled together like seaweed around a hull. The Mary Celeste remains the greatest ghost ship mystery in maritime history. A ship found in perfect condition. A crew that vanished without explanation. A story that has puzzled experts, inspired writers, and haunted the imagination for over 150 years. Somewhere beneath the waves of the Atlantic, the truth may still exist. A log entry never found. A letter never written. A final whisper from the crew of the Mary Celeste. But until the ocean gives up its secrets, the mystery remains uncharted.